And thus ends the season. Felt short, but what can be done? I mean, they're either going to plan something big for the next season, or maybe they're going to make a Ray Donovan movie, though that's doubtful that a Ray Donovan movie will just pop out of nowhere. But whatever the case may be, let's talk about this episode. So this is episode 10, You'll Never Walk Alone. And everything that's been building up in these past episodes now follows here. And, wow, this is quite an interesting episode. I'll give an update on probably what will happen next after this, but proceeding onwards with this. So, picking up, what I'm guessing is about a whole day later, I guess, we see Ray in his car carrying some sort of body out to the middle of the woods to bury someone. Now, I thought for a moment that they were going to bury a dead Judge Scholl, or maybe one of the hunters, or hitmen, or I don't know. But we cut to, like, where the episode left off, with Ray and Detective Perry looking out and about to see if Scholl's out in the middle of the woods. They have their encounter with the assassins, and they gun him down, but thankfully the judge is still alive. So they hold him up in the middle of the cabin, and Ray proceeds on with the rest of work. We then cut to Bunchy picking up Daryl from the motel, or at least a quick montage on where we're at with the Donovan characters. Bunchy picks up Daryl from the motel and travels back to his apartment. Molly listens to some of the tapes while looking at, I don't know what they're supposed to be. I think they're supposed to be like home movies or events that happened in that past. I don't know. But then Terry hears about Dolores's suicide, which is sad to hear. I mean, depressing thought. Like I said, this show deals with a lot of heavy themes. But onwards, we see Bridget get out of prison, and then they relax at the docks, and Ray and Bridget talk about what Smitty did, how he practically ratted out the whole family, which a bunch of the family just hates him for it. But it'd be a matter of time till, like, they'll probably make it up in the end. We then flash back to a young Ray as he's walking out and about in the city to see a group of people standing around. As Ray goes to take a look, it turns out that the Bridget from his time, the sister of his, actually committed suicide. But why did she commit suicide? Why did this happen? Well, we won't know the answers until later on, so we're going to be stuck in the dark for a long while on that. Onwards, Terry visits Dr. Ammett and discusses about the current events, Dolores, and all the stuff relating to Parkinson's, and that heavy theme of suicide, as we've all come to familiarize ourselves with. So, onwards, Bunchy and Daryl return to the apartment. There's tension in the air, and basically Daryl tells Smitty to get out because of what he's done. So that's going to be a thing. The next on the agenda is another flashback to, or at least it cuts to Ray in his apartment with the money, and then Molly comes out and shows Ray a piece of audio from like one of the tapes of that relates to his sister, the young Bridget, and it sort of cuts to like this whole ordeal about how basically Bridge just doesn't react. She's in denial, and basically because of her being pregnant, or at least some affair going on. But what? But it was a hidden pregnancy. She never told Ray about it, and Ray sort of breaks down, but he gets back up to finish the job, to really think about this, which is how we get all these flashbacks happening. If it was entirely like a whole flashback episode, we probably would have had 11 episodes, but what's the point in that? Because onwards, as Smitty and Mickey are walking around, they come across, I don't know the exact name for these churches for the different religion. Whatever, just put the name of these things down below. I'm probably going to have... I'm just going to waste time in trying to figure out the pronunciation of that, and I don't want to butcher it. Anyways, they sit outside, and Smitty... At least Mickey has Smitty pray for his actions, and onwards what happens... Bridget gives him a call for his return, and he's off on his way. Then we see... what happens? So we see that Frankie Lee calls up Mickey, giving him a new deal. It's not as big as he originally thought, but it's a decent amount of $1 million, around $25 million, which he accepts and proposes to wait at a diner to make the deal work. Onwards, Bunchy and Daryl discuss about sort of how Bunchy came to know about Daryl and his past and everything, but you can tell that basically he's out of denial. He's just not talking, but it's just Bunchy telling him about how he met and how he found out about Daryl through Terry, and getting deep stories. It's always good that they're giving all the Donovan family a backstory. We see Jim calling up Ray, and they set up a meeting to meet in his office, and then it cuts back. But we find out officially now, because of those tapes, that Jim is responsible for all this. He's responsible for Bridget's pregnancy and everything, and it all comes round and everything. But there's more of the flashback onwards that I probably didn't write, just because I know it off the top of my mind, so I'll probably let you know when a flashback will happen. So, the quick one is, throughout some of this, Terry basically walks around New York City, and especially after the events of Dolores, just give him some space, give him some air, and this essentially leaves him where he goes to the Empire State Building. What's he gonna do? What is his big action going to be? We don't see it till later on. But Smitty returns and the both of them make up and all seems happy in the end. And that's pretty much it for that for the moment being. So Ray arrives at his office to meet up with Jim, but Mickey stands there and plans to try and get the case back. To which Ray lays down this massive truth bomb, explaining that Jim was the one responsible for all of this. And I do mean all of it. Bridget's death, her pregnancy, all of this. And for a brief moment, I thought like the bullet was in, because as he goes to the case, he puts a bullet in there. And I figured, oh, maybe he's going to like pin all of this on Jim and he's going to get arrested by the police. But turns out in a different light, that's actually a tracker. Clever Ray. Always thinking. So we then see basically a flashback to where Bridget meets up with Jim in the bar, tells him about her pregnancy, tells her to go out and get an abortion and uncomfortableness, and then she starts thinking twice about it. But then in the end, she makes the decision, go on top of a building that is high as possible, and leap. And all of that comes full circle. Before we see vengeance on Jim, Smitty and Bridget talk about returning to LA, seeming like their relationship is suddenly now alright, and all the troubles they had are now past them. Which it'd be very nice to see them return to LA. Probably write them out of the show, but I don't know. So Eve stops by Frankie Lee's office and basically he forces information from her on about where they're going to meet up for the bond and everything. And again, this is where our story comes full circle. Jim goes to the office and expects to get the papers, but in the end, he sees a bullet, he sees a gun pointed at him. Ray's asking if on what he's done is the truth. Tries to go past it, talking about some restaurant. Then Ray just bang. He's done for. And of course, all of it is full circle. Because it turns out that Ray was burying Jim all along. Because in one brief second as he looks, he sees the spirit of Bridget for a moment. As if she is looking at him and saying, "Thank you." Then onwards, let's get into the big stuff. Smitty and Mickey are at the restaurant, and Smitty's feeling excited. A car pulls up to see the trade person with the $25 million. But Ears pulls up, and Daryl happens, and then a conflict happens. Daryl kills Ears, and Smitty gets caught in the fire and trembles down to the floor, bleeding out of his, I don't know, his shoulder or neck or whatever, but I think it hit the neck. To which we see basically Daryl pointing his gun at Mickey, almost planning on killing him there, but they run off, and from there we see a montage. The first thing we see is Smitty bleeding out and then dead. Molly leaves the apartment. Dr. Ammett shuts off his lights in his home. I don't know why I put that down there, but thought that was important. Terry goes up to the Empire State Building, looking over the city. Bridget is unknown about Smitty's death. Mickey walks away with the briefcase without his money, because everything around him just screws up. And then Ray finishes burying Jim Sullivan's body, and that, my friends, is where it ends. Wow, that was quite a season, I will say. Though, what can be said about this? This was a really good season. I definitely like how we got some more questions answered, and so far this season, we got some really good music. I mean, Fisherman's Blues, like, wow, that's a really good song, and Irish Lullaby, they really have some good taste in music. Even, let alone, like, some great song choices they pick for the episodes. But where does this leave the season as a whole? Where does it stand in the Ray Donovan universe as a season? As far as I know, at least I loved season 6. I loved season 5, I mean. Season 5 was probably one of the best for the show, especially with the new setting being in New York. But the lowest would have to be maybe season 5. This has to be season 7, so season 6, and then I'd say season 5 has to be the lowest of them because of certain events that happened and the decisions they made. A lot of fans were ticked off by it. Some of them left. Some of them just waited until the flashback episode to even proceed onwards or whatever. But I'd say I would put this right next to season 6 as best for the show. But love this episode. Great season. Look forward to whenever the new season's going to be. Whether or not it's going to be whether or not we're going to have another fall, winter season again like we always do. Or if we expect something else to happen. It's doubtful that we'll get a quick announcement, but I pray that this show hasn't ended, especially since we've had 10 episodes this season when the standard is normally 12. I don't know, it's just, I'm hoping we get another season of Ray, but only way to find out is when the fall hits. A season 8? Are you kidding me? Showtime basically just canceled the series as a whole, so there's no season 8. And it also doesn't help that we also have this new disease going around. So it looks like season 8 is a no-go, so that news is completely dated. So guess this show's also going into the pile of questions that will never be answered whatsoever unless by some sheer luck something happens. But at this point, I don't think we're ever going to get answers to those questions that happened in the season finale of Ray Donovan. So, yeah, that's another show to be in rest in peace with, you know. But anyways, back to the actual ending of this video. But yeah, overall, love this season. Episode was fantastic, very splendid. Sad to see Smitty go, but I kind of felt like they really didn't do much with him, except for he's tied into all of this, and now the Donovan family hates him. So, again, sad to see him go, but what can be done? And yeah, what to do next? For the moment being, I am currently re-uploading all of my old episodes of Ray Donovan to YouTube with the new disclaimers, and all of this season will appear on YouTube after the release of the last season, because I will already have the disclaimers instated in all the episodes, and onwards and onwards and onwards. But yeah, other than the uploads of Ray Donovan for YouTube, I'm on break. Yeah, I am going to be taking a 5 or so month break from making videos for YouTube just because I want to breathe, I want to relax. The stress from last year left me a little bit in a paranoid, panic mood and everything, and that was not fun at all, especially with what happened. Hopefully I'll finish the favorite movies list when I come back, but no guarantees on that. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this, the reviews, and I'll see you guys next time. I may think about doing game streams, but that's unknown. I don't know, I'll think about it. But yeah, see you guys later, and if you'll excuse me, just gonna kick back, relax, and just enjoy the fresh air from making YouTube videos, that is. See ya.